Right. 2009, you dropped Busted. Can you give us a brief overview of what that was about?
That was like that's the only film that I did that I didn't write. It was written by some other writers, and it's actually my only film that never came out. I don't know what actually really happened with it. It's somewhere in the archive still. But it was like a spoof of cheaters. You know, it was like the same thing. It was mockumentary style, like gangster rap, but it was about like cheaters. You know, that type of thing. You know, it just that was another learning experience. You know, they all come with a lesson to be learned, and I always apply those lessons moving forward. And that one was I let my emotions get in the way of business of like beefing with producers to a point where I'm just like fucking just walk away. So after that, I just told myself I would never walk away from one of my films again. Like I don't care I don't care. We get in a fist fight. We're gonna finish this film because my name is on it. My actors are gonna be looking at me like, because that's big to actors. They want to, they don't. Especially all of my films have been name actors, except for probably gangster rap. Slink Johnson, Black Jesus. Slink was up and coming then. My boy Howie Bell was big and coming. Big Leslie Jones. That was her first film. Who she went on and she's doing Saturday Night Live and Ghostbusters and all that. So and that's my other thing. I love working with up and coming talent. But at the end of the day, when you're working with name actors, they're coming and they're usually not getting paid their quote or what they usually get paid. So the least that I could do is make sure that the film sees the light of day. So that was my big lesson with that is like I just learned how to disagree without being disagreeable. And I'm still like Erykah Badu said, I'm still an artist and sensitive about my shit. And I will, get into ridiculous ass situations and arguments. But at the end of the day, I'm not going nowhere. It's like we're gonna finish this film, and ultimately that's the thing that helped me keep climbing the ladder. Is even executives in Hollywood are like, "Wow, you did 9 films with how much money?" And it's actually I could look it up and it's out and it's on DVD or people are familiar with it. Like that's an accomplishment within itself, and that's what I tell filmmakers I talk to now, man. It's no such thing as no budget or low budget. It's you hey get busy, figure it
Right.
out. More has been done with less.
At what point did you start Flicksville? Was this before all the stuff we mentioned, or at a certain point you started Flicksville USA?
I want to say Flicksville probably came in after. I mean, the first Flicksville film is His, Hers, and the Truth. You know what I mean? So it came in after Highway. Like I had a long hiatus in between Highway and His, Hers, and the Truth. I went
Okay.
through a lot, like a lot of struggle of me again drawing the line in the sand, of me doing films that didn't live up to their expectations because I didn't really understand the film business. So I suffered a lot because of that financially, career wise, and everything. Like it was like 8 years between Highway and His, Hers, and the Truth. Where I went through a lot of growing pains, a lot of top ramen, a lot of eating popcorn for dinner. It was a lot, man, but but it made me who I am. Like I love that struggle. It gave me a different edge than a lot of people have because I weathered the storm. And not only that, I addressed the issues. I took full accountability. I didn't blame Hollywood. I didn't blame this production or that production. I'm like, no, this is you not doing something right. And so I went back to my roots. I was like, I just had to think. I'm like, what were your most successful films? Romantic comedies, Baby's Daddy, Potato Salad. Then after that, I started doing weed movies and gangster rap and cheaters. And again, just because I didn't know the business. And I've got, producing partners now that I work with like Brett DeSmuke and Craig Chapman and all these people. Jeff Clanagan over the years had a lot of conversations with me of like helping me to understand how the mechanism of film finance and how it works and how you make films that don't lose money. Because there is a way to do it. And it's a myth that people say that like 90% of independent films lose money, and they do. But if you know what you're doing and you do it for the right budget and it's in the right genre and you know your buyer, it all falls in place. So I got to take all those lessons that I learned in that 8-year hiatus and was like, next time somebody gives me a budget, I don't give a fuck. If it's $5, I'm finna deliver. And that's what happened. Like His, Hers, and the Truth, Burke Management Firm helped raise some money to put up behind His, Hers, and the Truth. We shot it for like $100,000. It got into ABFF and, it just opened up a bunch of doors for me. And really it restored my confidence in myself to be like, yeah, you're a monster. Like, don't forget who you are. Like you were doing films in the wrong genre at the wrong time. Cause there was a time in Hollywood where, it didn't matter how bad the movie was. If you had a couple old TV stars in it and a rapper that had a platinum record, you were going to sell that film. There was a lot of cats from back in that era, like, Brian Hooks. Brian Hooks was making a lot of money back in the day, man. Shooting movies for like 100,000 and selling them for 500,000-600,000. Like that was a whole movement for a moment. But then I call it the soul plane effect. When Soul Plane came out, there was a period, like literally everybody told me, stop doing black films. Black films are over. Stop it. Nobody wants to see them. Like literally, it just, and honestly, I credit Tyler Perry and Will Packer for kind of bringing it back, like to show that there's a marketplace here for black films. You know what I'm saying? And because it was, man, it was a desert. It got cold and lonely because I wasn't gonna, I wasn't gonna go do white movies because I don't understand that culture. I mean, I understand my culture. I write these kind of stories in my sleep. So I didn't, it just, it was a learning curve, man. So yeah, Flicksville came in when we did His, Hers, and the Truth. And that was my homage to Hitsville, USA. And I'm still working on building Flicksville because I really wanted to be a incubator for black creatives and other filmmakers and other writers. Like I want to bring other people into the game and, share the knowledge and the experience and help them get the resources and things like that. Because there's enough for all of us, man. Like content is king. You got Netflix, you be like, ain't nothing on Netflix. And Hollywood knows that. So they're clamoring for people that know how to create quality content at a price point. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you got to be smart. You got to know your budget. You got to know your genre. You got to know which actors mean something in the marketplace. Because that's the other thing is a lot of actors that we love in the urban culture don't mean nothing to the studio system. You'd be
Right.
surprised how many times they're like, who? And you're like, such and such. And they're like, I don't know who that is. So it's, it's a lot to learn, man. It's a lot of information. And I gathered the information and I applied it. And, it's definitely been a renaissance. I've definitely been doing some of my best work over the past few years, just, realizing how to make successful, marketable, equitable, independent films.
Right. You dropped that in 2016, His, Hers, and the Truth. COVID hits. Where do you find yourself in the COVID pandemic of 2020?
Well, we shot my other film, Fruits of the Heart, with Wendy Raquel and Little Mama and Cliff Powell and Dorian Wilson and Rennie. We shot that in January. And then the pandemic hit. I think it was February or March. And so I was editing Fruits of the Heart through most of the pandemic. And during, it was just a lot of, time alone and reflection. And then that's when the murders of George Floyd and Breonna and Ahmaud Arbery started taking place. And that's at that moment when I got inspired to write Karen. That was during the pandemic when I wrote Karen, the height of it, where I was just like, I wanted to do something that spoke, truth to power and spoke to some of these issues we're dealing with. I just felt like as an artist, you can't have a platform and see all this stuff going on within the culture and to your people and not say something and not do something. And my younger kids were with me at the house through most of the pandemic because their mother was fortunate enough to still be working. So I couldn't be out in the streets protesting because I couldn't take my little kids out there with me and things like that. But I was like, just had a light bulb moment, like you can do something. You write films, write a film. And so, like I said, that was it. And I wrote Karen, and the response was abrupt and immediate in terms of getting it financed and set up and that type of thing. It took us a while to get it up into production, but that was the whole pandemic for me was finishing Fruits of the Heart, setting it up with BET, then writing and putting together Karen and raising the financing and then, finally shooting it and getting it out there.
What kind of feedback have you been getting from those films? Let's start with Fruits of the Heart.
Fruits of the Heart is going to be a slow burn. I think it's going to be like Potato Salad was. Like, it's a really good film, man. Like, Little Mama kills it in there. Wendy Raquel kills it. It's on BET still. BET Her. I can't remember if it's on BET proper. I know it's on BET Plus and BET Her. But like Potato Salad, it took years for people to get hip to that film. So I think, and obviously Karen has put me on a totally different level. So eventually people are going to start looking back at my other films. And I think, it's going to find its way. But the people that have seen it love it. I get hit all the time on Instagram with, and I don't want to spoil it, but people like, I cried my eyes out at the end of that movie. And, they could relate to it. It was, my thing is this is like, I don't like fighting the same battle twice. So every film I like doing something in a different genre, but I make sure I'm doing it in genres that are successful and popular. Like His, Hers, and the Truth's a romantic comedy. Fruits of the Heart's a family dramedy. Karen's a, suspense thriller, or I like to call it dark satire. Like it's kind of its own, animal and being. And then the next film I'm working on is a crime drama. I've written some horror films that I got in the arsenal. It's a lot. So just, the response to all three of these past films has been phenomenal. Obviously, Karen getting the most attention and the most light, but you know, people loved His, Hers, and the Truth. People love Fruits of the Heart, and then you know, Karen.
Any other avenues outside of doing films that you're looking to explore or are currently exploring?
Well, like I said, Flicksville. I really want to build my company, and I want to build up the nonprofit piece of it to start doing. I want to do summer camps for inner city kids to teach them film because, you know, had I known about filmmaking, I may have never started rapping. I didn't know that that was a possibility, that somebody like me with no resources, you know, from, you know, impoverished environment, you know, not completely impoverished, because Pasadena is an interesting place where, you know, I went to school with obviously Bloods and Crips and the children of, you know, drug lords like Ray Browning and things like that. But also went to school with kids whose parents worked at Disney and JPL. And so it just was an interesting melting pot. And I think that's why I'm kind of like a hood nerd. Like I got both of those elements in me, which I think is dope. But yeah, I just want to build my company, you know, start producing films with other filmmakers and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And definitely give back and you know, show kids there's other outlets. You know, like there's a moratorium on rappers. We don't need any more rappers. No more rapping. Do something else. We don't need it. We don't need any more little nothing, little whatevers. We're good. Like pick up a camera, especially now with all this you know, technology at their access. Like the stuff I see on TikTok and Instagram with these kids be doing, I'll be blown away. I'll be like, man, these dudes are geniuses. If they could just harness that and know that, especially not all of them, but there's a large group of them that should be really looking into doing this for real, because they're brilliant, man. They're brilliant. They're just you know, I have kids that are millennials and what are they, Gen Yers now or whatever, but these kids are a different kind of special and genius, and you know, just the ingenuity and stuff that they're able to apply to things and the way they look at things is just amazing. Even their comedy, like their comedy is, you know, to amuse somebody, to make somebody laugh in 15 seconds, like that's an art, you know what I'm saying? And so it's a lot. I just want to, you know, I want to pass on some of this knowledge and information, because I don't believe in, you know, just keeping it to myself. Like there's enough for all of us. And there's not a filmmaker in the business I'm intimidated by, where I feel like if they eat and I can't eat, like it's, you know, there's enough for all of us, man. So I just want to grow the company, you know, start producing content for other people, definitely move into television. I definitely want to do a 1 hour drama. That's like probably my favorite thing to watch is Breaking Bad and Ozark and shows like that. So I definitely want to do that type of work as well and continue to grow as an artist. Like I haven't done my best film yet. Like that's what people don't understand. Like, you know, my favorite film is my next film, you know, and every film I do, the next one, I'm gonna do it better. I'm gonna learn something from that film and be like, okay, next time I'm gonna do this different. I'm gonna approach this differently, you know, just continue to grow as an artist.
Right. Any thoughts of Madcap being name dropped in the Hulu series of Wu-Tang's?
It's dope, man. It was dope. I watched it to make sure. I'm like, you better.
Is it accurate?
It's very accurate. It's completely accurate. They actually had reached out and wanted to clear one of our songs. I think they ended up using an alcoholic song instead. But RZA's music supervisor had reached out to me and Joe, and they wanted to use one of the Madcap records. They ended up doing it. But also, when I seen Drink Champs and I seen Rico and E Swift talk about Madcap, and even when Steve Rifkin was on Drink Champs, he brought up Madcap. Like, you know, it's important to me, man. I was a part of hip hop history, like a pivotal part of it, and especially to be one of the first groups. Well, the first group, but one of the first artists signed to Loud Records, and to watch what they became, I'm just super proud of Steve, man, and Rich Isaacson and those guys. Like they really took. I mean, they made it a Def Jam. I never seen that coming, because I was, you know, we were the first artists there. Like I didn't know where that was going. You know, I guess I don't think Steve knew, to be honest with you, but I think when he found Wu-Tang, I think he fucking knew then. He's like, oh yeah, Madcap was cool, but listen to these guys. You know what I'm saying? So I'm proud of them dudes, and I'm proud to have been a part of that moment of being the golden era in hip hop. Like I used to have to get on stage with KRS and Biz Markie and Kane and King T, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, gods of the game. Like I had to rap after them dudes and before them dudes, and De La and Tribe, and you know what I'm saying? So, you know, but I'm not one of them old heads. It's like, you know, we were so much better than these kids now. It just, you know, it's different. Art is subjective again, and there's a lot of really dope young artists too. So, and a lot of them are bringing it back to that early '90s kind of vibe and feel with the social commentary and the style of production and things like that. So, you know, right. But yeah, I'm man, that's what I'm telling you. like after Karen, I was so burnt on interviews. I'm like, I'm cool. And I started turning down interviews. But when you hit me and you said you want to talk about Madcap, I was all ears. I'm like, yes, let's talk about Madcap, because it's really a dope story, and it's really a story of, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Unfortunately, I have a lot of friends from back in that day that just didn't find a way to transition into something else to harness that creativity and do something with it. I'm just so happy and blessed and fortunate that I found something to still, you know, fulfill myself as an artist. You know what I'm saying? To not have to just quit music and go get a job or something like that. Like, I'd be at somebody's job making them miserable. They would hate me because I am unemployable. I'm just letting you know. I can work with people. I can't work for them, though. That's different. So I'm blessed, man, and I know that. And again, like I said, that's why I would love to, well, I'm going to, you know, hand these jewels on to the next generation to say, hey, and it don't have to be filmmaking. You can shoot commercials. You can do television. My son he works on movie sets as you know, crew. He's making a nice living doing that. Like, it doesn't have to all be one thing. It's just like, you know, escaping poverty is such a mousetrap for us. You know what I'm saying? And we just start reaching and snatching for the things that just seem so obvious, like sports or music or things like that. But there's so many other things in the tech space. Because again, some of these little cats are so smart and creative. Like, my son took the Roku remote and put it on a big piece of cardboard so he wouldn't lose it no more. Like, that's brilliant. I would have never thought of that. I just keep looking for the remote. So,
Right.
But yeah, man, I just, you know, like I said, I want to pass this information on. And again, I have just so you know, I have a whole story laid out of Madcap and my days in hip hop that I'm one day gonna write and put out. But I got to do a couple things first. That's gonna be once the point when Hollywood goes, Coke, do whatever you want to do. You can just do what you want to do, and then that's when I'm gonna say, all right, I want to do this. I want to tell the Madcap story because it's dope. It's a super dope story, man. Great times, great moments. You know, I crossed paths with so many legends, and you know, got to, you know people like King T, you know, who doesn't get the flowers he deserves. Like, King T is pivotal to hip hop, not just West Coast hip hop. Like, he was one of Biggie's favorite rappers. That's how ill King T is. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it just you know, King T, he used to give me money he'd be like, hey, Coke, take my car and here's the keys in my apartment. Go to the house, and under the bed there's $200. Grab that so we can go to the liquor store. And you know what I'm saying? Like, just, you know, big homie stuff. And like I said, you know, he jumped on. King T was on our demo that got us to deal with Loud. So I know that was part of it too, because King T was hot then, and he was on the demo. Now, full disclosure, he did take that verse and put it on I Got It Bad with Alcoholics, and we were in our feelings about it. But he jumped on another record with us, and he was the big homie. You can't check the big homie. You just got to accept it. Big homies do big homie things. What you gonna do?
Right. For all the Madcap fans who are wanting to know, is there any unreleased music that you plan on putting out in the future?
I don't think so. I think all the Madcap stuff is, well, there was though, but again, I've moved so much, and like, yeah, there was some other records we did with as a solo artist. There was stuff I did with the Beatnuts that never came out. That whole solo album I did that had a dope song with me and Razkaz and this cat named Bird out of LA was singing on it. I had a song with Mixmaster Spade on it. Like, it was lit. It didn't have an identity, and I wasn't Mobb Deep, so I just had to take that on the chin and go make movies. But you know, again, I'm still a music fan, and I'm still like super excited about that era, and again, just to be a part, because again, not comparing, saying that this is trash now, but that was just the golden era, man. Like, when everybody was just shooting in the dark and you couldn't sound like nobody else, and you know, when you got on stage with people, like especially people like KRS, or you know, even the Licks was crazy to perform with, because they used to, man, I was performing with them in Oakland one time. I'll never forget, the whole damn building was shaking. Like, it was just certain EPMD. I mean, come on, man. Like, you couldn't get on stage after them dudes, and we did it, and we hung, and we only got booed once. We got booed once as the color section, so I'm proud of that. Not proud of getting booed, but that we didn't get booed more, because it was rough.
Right. Over the years, what does Coke Daniels consider his greatest achievement?
My kids. You know what I mean? That I was a solid father, and now I get to see my kids grow up and be productive members of society, and you know, look up to me, you know, and look up to the things that I did. Because I do remember this when I was doing the Madcap album. I used to think, I didn't have kids then, but I was like, one day my kids are gonna be listening to this, and I want them to be proud, and they are. Like, so many times I'll hear them in their rooms playing Kit and Caboodle or Proof is in the Pudding or something, or some of the color section stuff with their friends, and then their friends being like, oh my God, that was you. And so, that's my proudest achievement, man, is my kids, man. Like there is no greater achievement than, raising people in this world that are functioning and striving, and, you have a relationship with them. And that was important to me because, like I said, that's part of the reason why I walked away from music was I wanted to be around my, it was just one kid then. I have 5 in total now. Don't judge me. The cable was off, but I have 5 kids in total. Most of them's grown. They all doing good. So yeah, I would say that's my crowning achievement, man, is my kids.
Very dope. I want to thank you this evening for sharing the Madcap history, your films, and everything you've done for the culture. For those who are trying to keep up with you, let them know what you got coming up in the future, and leave us with your social media.
Okay. We're actually about to start production on a film called Water Boys that's based on the Water Boys here in Atlanta. A lot of people may not be hip to that, but they're like young Black entrepreneurs who get out on these corners and hustle selling water and sports drinks and things like that. But it's going to be Atlanta's Boys in the Hood, or Atlanta's Menace to Society. I've lived in Atlanta for 6 years now. This is like my second home, and I love this city. So I really want to do something that makes this city proud, and that, that holds up to that same level of quality as Boys in the Hood and Menace and those type of films. City of God, like we haven't seen that for Atlanta. Like we haven't seen a artsy trap movie, where it's heart and social commentary, and and it's done in a festival movie type circuit feel. So yeah, Water Boys is what I got going next. I got a bunch of other stuff in development. I've got a lot of scripts written. I've got some stuff that I'm working on writing, and I'm always writing. That's still my first love. So yeah, that's it. Water Boys. Be on the look for Water Boys. We'll be shooting it later this year, probably in the summer sometime, and there'll be some announcements coming out about it and all those things. So yeah, keep up with me. Official Coke Daniels is my IG. So check me out.
No doubt. Any last words for those who've been supporting you since day one, and your new supporters?
I mean, both, man. Like, I thank you, brother, for I'm telling you, I got so excited when you said you want to talk to me about Madcap, and you weren't like, let's talk about Karen. Like, we didn't really talk about Karen, and I'm cool with that. But I thank y'all that, like, when I look on the YouTube page and I see the comments about Madcap still, like, oh, where did these guys go? Oh, I still play this. Oh, this. And another thing, like, I seen my son show me, in fact, on Amazon, they were selling like a boxed up CD of Madcap for like $300. Whoever that is, I want in. If a nickel bag gets sold in the park, wow, I want in. So $300, I think I should get at least like $25, $30 of that. Yes, sir. But yeah, man, thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. Thanks for, hopefully I inspire people. That's a big thing for me. I want to inspire other people to do what I did and even greater, and to never give up, and to not let anybody tell you no, and don't let nobody put you in a box. And just because you fail at one thing don't mean you can't succeed at something else. And, like Bruce Lee said, be like water. Always be flexible. You don't know what's coming your way. Hey, and tell King Son I said, what up? I tell people all the time that nobody wanted with King Son. To this day, I'm sure they don't. Because dude's like, what, 7 feet tall, 7'1"? Yeah. Ice Cube didn't win that fight. Let's be clear. Ice Cube did not win that fight. I don't care what anybody says. I was there.
Wow. You've seen it all go down.
I seen it all go down. It was a mess. Yeah, it was. But hey, it's history, man. New music seminar. I think that was like 91, something like that, 92.
Yep. I'll be sure to shout him out and let him know that.
Yeah, love, man. King Son was dope, dude. Dope ass dude.
No doubt. Thank you so much. Like I said, for everybody who's been viewing, go back. This interview will be posted immediately to the page. That's the legendary Coke Daniels, formerly of Madcap. He has a new movie, Karen, out, and some upcoming movies. Be sure to keep up with him. I'm the journalist Sin-seer, and we're out of here. Thank you so much, Coke.
All right, peace, brother. Keep doing your thing, man. Proud of you.
Appreciate you. Same here. All right. Peace.